Okay, right. I'm going to introduce you now to a client, Bob. Hi, Bob. Just quickly.
Morning.
We're going to talk through Bob's story. Again, we've been coaching Bob now for, I think, probably
About 8 months, 9 months.
8, 9 months now. Again, an amazing journey. And throughout this call, you're going to see some photos of Bob's journey as we go. But just to kick us off, Bob, can you just set the scene where you was then 8, 9 months ago on like a personal, on like a personal level? Where was you health-wise, physical-wise, work-wise? Just set the scene. So I think a lot of people, again, are going to be similar to the old you.
Yeah, so I've always done training of some sort all through my life. I started off, messing about with weights really, but my first kind of real regular exercise was I used to play squash, which is how I came to join Kingswood years and years ago. So I've always been fairly active through my life, and as I got older, I started getting more serious about weight training. But then I guess I got into my kind of mid to late 30s. I noticed that I wasn't getting any kind of results, and in fact, I was starting to put weight on. So I started training, more intensely to try and keep the weight off. And anyway, long story short, over the years, the weight just kind of crept on without knowing it. And about 9, 10 months ago, jumped on the scale and I was over 16 stone. And this is for a guy that had started off at, sort of around the 13 and a half stone mark. I'm of an age now where weight doesn't come off quickly. And, I appreciate that there's no such thing as a magic bullet or a magic pill for this sort of thing. And I was very, very cynical of, when you go on Instagram or you go on Twitter or whatever, and you see these accounts, give me £200 and in 8 weeks I'll have you looking like Arnold Schwarzenegger. And I've fallen for it, and you pay your money and you get nothing unless you pay even more money, and you still get nothing. So I'm very, very cynical about those things. So at that point, I was really low. I was working long and irregular hours. My weight had crept up. I wasn't getting what I wanted from my training. I was depressed in myself. It was just a bit of a downward spiral, really. And then I saw another one of these things came up on Instagram, and it was you guys. And I'm thinking, oh, right, okay. Oh, it's them from the gym. Yeah, I know them. And they're doing it now. And then all of a sudden, you started posting results of people that I knew.
Right.
And I'm like, and somebody who should remain nameless, but to me was, and I've known him for a few years, overtrainer, undereater. So he trained all day on 0 calories. His body got used to operating nothing. And then when he ate, his body just stored that as fat. So his weight had gone up and up and up and up. Couldn't shift it. And he got in with you guys, and he was one of the ones that you put up and went, look, this is the result after 8 weeks, before and after. I'm thinking, Christ, well, if he can do that, or sorry, if they can do that for him, and nobody else could, then maybe this does work. So that's why I contacted you, and the rest, as they say, is history.
Oh, awesome! That's a nice story. And again, I do remember the first ever seminar. So again, for our 8-week challenges in person, we do run like a day one seminar. And I think, Bob, I do recall you up in that, up in the bar, in the function area. And actually, one thing that I must add is that whenever you get in my experience, whenever you get a client that asks a lot of questions, I always know it's going to be good. Bob has always asked a lot of questions, very interested in how, why, what, and I think that's very, very important. I've never actually mentioned that to you, Bob, but I do recall you verbally 3 or 4, 5, 6 questions on that day. And for me, that really just shows a massive amount of leverage to, they want to learn, they want to educate, and hopefully, again, as Bob's saying, we are more than like an 8-week transformation. And it's the long game, Bob, isn't it? Right?
Absolutely, yeah. Absolutely.
What would you say then that you're doing or you've done differently compared to the past? Because I recall you training lots or a fair amount. You've always been active. What were the key sort of tweaks and changes that you felt we made together?
The way I trained. So, for example, that first 8 weeks was primarily HIIT training, which I'd read a lot about, and I'd toyed with but never really got serious about. So that was a new way of training for me. I literally, I just didn't touch a weight for 8 weeks. And the food, I'd always known that the secret is move more and eat less, right? But it's having the impetus to actually put that into practice. So the HIIT was making me move more and in a different way. And you inspired me to actually look at what I was eating. I think one of the first conversations we had, Ben, was like, you said to me, it's all about calorie deficit. Eat what you like, but as long as you keep below that calorie mark, you are going to lose weight. And if you don't lose weight, you're lying to me about what you're eating. Those were your exact words. And but you did say to me, if I put you on 2,000 calories, you can eat 1,800 calories a Mars bars and you lose weight, but you're not going to get the nutrition that you need from those. So one of the things that I started looking at doing, as well as giving myself a calorie cap, was looking at what I was eating. So I went from eating the processed foods and that kind of thing to, chicken, fish, vegetables, the good stuff. And I have to be honest, for that first 8 weeks, bearing in mind that it was summer, so I think you tend to eat less in the summer anyway. But for that first 8 weeks, my calorie cap was 2,200. And for that 8 weeks, I struggled to make 2,200, not in as much as keeping below it, but getting up to it, because I was so full on the foods that I was eating that you were directing me to. And this is from somebody who is an absolute pig when it comes to the kitchen. I really like my food. And, those two things together, it was like, I could see on the scales and the weigh-ins that it was making a difference. But the first time somebody turned around to me and went, "You've lost weight, haven't you?" Yeah. That's a real, this is somebody who's done nothing but put on weight for years. For somebody to turn around and go, "Wow, you've lost weight." And if we've got time, can I tell a story?
Yeah, go on.
There's a lady at the gym. I don't know her surname. Her name is Karen. Sorry if you're watching, Karen. And we used to train together. We used to do a boxercise class. We used to do the boxercise twice a week. And Karen and I used to pair up sometimes to do the boxercise. So we got on quite well. And we used to bump into each other because we used the same physio as well. So we used to bump into each other coming out of there. And we'd always say hello and have a chat and all this kind of thing. About 3-4 weeks into the training, I was coming out of the gym and she was walking in. And I kind of went, and she walked straight past me. I thought, I've upset her. About a week.
Another one.
Yeah, about another one. Yeah, cheers. 3 or 4 days later, same thing. I went, and she walked past me. Must have upset her. A few days later, I thought, she walked towards me. I thought, she's not going to talk. I put my head down, and she went, "Bob." I went, "Hello, Karen." She went, "I'm so sorry." I said, "What?" She went, "You look so different. You have lost so much weight. You look so healthy."
That's awesome, yeah, and proof's in the pudding. And just tapping into that, well, 2 things. I want to just mention the calorie thing. I think when someone sets you an amount of calories, quite often people straight away think, "Blimey, that's a lot of calories, or that's a lot of food." And it's extremely hard to eat a good amount of calories when you're eating only whole foods. And it's extremely easy to eat calories when you're eating processed rubbish food. It can quickly accumulate. You can hit 2,500, 3,000, 3,500 calories in no time if you eat junk. But again, try doing that. And again, as Bob's gone throughout his journey and his training's changed quite somewhat, being more resistance-based, his calories have been tweaked. It's difficult, right, to consume calories when you're actually eating good quality food. So that's a real good point that I just like to quickly stress on. But just quickly, Bob, as well, last couple of questions, just to keep this nice and brief. Just be totally honest, how do you feel now? Obviously now we're in lockdown. It's a little bit of like an indifferent time anyway, but over the last 8 to 9 months, what are the main differences that you have noticed away from, of course, your weight loss and your body transformation, of course? But yeah, any other positives or just feedback for me in regards to how you feel now?
Yeah, I mean, it's given me a lot. I think, as I said, the way I was coming in to this sort of 8-9 months ago wasn't just about my weight and my physique. It was about my mental state as well, and I was really depressed about the way things were. I have to say, Ben, on top of what I've spent with you guys, this has been a really expensive process for me because I've literally had to throw my entire wardrobe away. But what it has meant is that I've given, that's given me physically, visually, and mentally a new lease of life, because I've been forced to go. I've bought wardrobe that now is more up to date. It fits me better. I feel better, both physically. I can now get out just by training like I do. And I'm not a runner, But on a day, I think, you know, I don't fancy doing anything in the gym. I'll go for I can go and do a 6K just straight off the bat, because what I'm doing now has given me that aerobic base.
Yeah.
So I'm feeling better physically. I'm feeling fitter, and mentally, I'm just in such a different place to where I was 9 months ago.
No, that's very nice to hear. And I think it's, I also want to stress, and I stress this every time during these testimonial calls, that Bob has got a relatively high-powered job and long hours, right?
Well, I wouldn't say it was particularly high power, but yeah, long hours, yeah.
It is. So again, I just think the proof's in the pudding that we are working with, and Bob is, believe it or not, no matter how he looks, he's a normal guy, all right? And a normal guy working good hours. You've had your own personal ups and downs throughout this period. You've had holidays, you've had lots going on, which we haven't got to delve into, but completely normal person with normal barriers, restrictions, and you've overcome them, right?
I like to think so, yeah.
Yeah, no, certainly. If you had one bit of advice, Bob, just to conclude, and this isn't to try and plug Transformate, this is from you to them. If there's someone out there who is considering taking action on their health, their well-being, and their body, what would your advice be, honestly?
Just be careful about what you eat. Form some good habits from food, because that is 90% of it. And just exercise regularly. Find an exercise that you like so that you'll continue doing it, and just build that into your daily routine. Form some good habits. We all form bad habits very, very easily. Form some good ones. And if you want some advice, go and see Ben and Matt, because they're very, very good.
Perfect. Thank you. I'm pleased you put that last little bit in there. No, thank you, Bob. I appreciate it, mate. Thanks for your time. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday we're on now, and we'll catch up. I think we've got a new program coming out to you actually later on today, so we will be in touch later on today, Bob. Is that all right? Thanks again, mate. I appreciate it. Take care, mate.